Welcome to the 7 Days of Clarity. I definitely want to disclose to everybody that it's just so interesting because every single day on the first round of 7 Days of Clarity, people were experiencing things that had to do with those specific chakras. So if today you felt extremely uprooted, ungrounded, like not only were you anticipating this, but your spirit was like getting ready for like, okay, we about to do something tonight, right? And I just find that just amazing the way that life works and the way that God shows us. It's kind of like the quote that they say when you say yes to the universe moves in your favor. And that's the same for healing. You said yes to yourself and the universe is I'm going to teach you some things. Literally, we had a girl in our last, a woman, goddess in our last session who, I don't remember what day it was. I want to say it might've been the sacral, or I don't even remember. I can't remember. It just it becomes a blur after a while. And she literally had a guy who taught her something right before she got on the session. Like a guy who, she was like buying batteries, and of course he walks up to her, he's like sweating, and they both were buying the same pack of batteries, and it was only one pack, but she needed it for something she was doing for her daughter, but he needed it. And I think he had like come back and he said to her, like, how much do they cost? And I think he almost walked out the store, but something happened in the exchange where she's an EMT, so she was able to see that he was sweating, and he also told her he had diabetes. So she's like, well, maybe I should share these batteries with you so that like you're probably gonna, like, if I don't get, like, she could tell because she's in that field, if I don't give you these batteries, that's like life or death for you. But nonetheless, that wasn't the point. That wasn't even the point of her encountering him. He literally walked up to her and then just started dropping all these gems on her spirit. You ever had people do that to you? You don't know them from a hole in the wall, and they walk up to you and they're like, you know what, God's got you. And you're like, por qué? Like, who sent you? Right? You're like, who sent you? Right? But I just want to tell you, if you didn't see the checklist, like, just be open to miracles, because different things start happening. And also, don't ignore your intuition. Don't ignore that thing you feel you need to do. Don't ignore the thing you feel you need to say. Don't ignore anything else. So whatever you're getting, like while you're on this, and things that are coming to your spirit that are like, go here, do this, listen to this, like, pay attention to all of that, because that is just a sign for you. You've opened up yourself. When we show up for spirit and we go, okay, God, I'm going to show up for you. And we're not talking about Sunday service. This is like Sunday service times 10, okay? Because we're choosing to say, all right, I really need to get to the root of why I am the way that I am, so that I can stop moving in ways that no longer serve me. This program is not for the weak. This is not for people who are not ready yet. Like, if you're kind of ready to heal, this is not for you, because I'm going to fuck you up a little bit, okay? The things we talk about, how we get into it, the questions that we're going to bring up within ourselves, getting into this different type of meditation. So all of you have probably meditated with me. This is very different, where I just want to take you to that place where you, not only can you go there again, but after today, you can no longer allow yourself to operate in that space. That's your little girl. That's the inner child, right? And you have to just make that decision. So today is the root chakra. I'll disclose to you the main thing. When I started creating this program, I'm big on like a recovering perfectionist. So a lot of times, even as a coach, I'll think, well, I need to have worksheets, I need to have presentations. Like, I just want to give you the whole nine, which sometimes can actually be distracting towards people focusing on what we're talking about. And the other thing is, I wanted to create that dialogue. That's why I wanted small groups, so that we can talk about all the thoughts that are coming to your mind and work through them. Because what I help people do is get to the but why, right? Because we lie to ourselves and you go, well, maybe I feel like this. No. And I'm going to tell you a revelation I had the other day, that I was like, I can tell you what, I know that there's so many people that need to hear me say it, because I couldn't even pinpoint that shit. So when I did, I was like, damn, that's deep. I got to share it. So I'm not going to share it yet. But so we're going to get into the root chakra. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ebony Tatora. And for as long as I really can remember, I've been like that star child, which is like staring at the stars as a kid. Like, I enjoyed playing alone. I loved being out in nature. I loved everything creative, artistic, all that good stuff. Like, that's just who I've always been. Obviously, like many of you, we all have stories, you know, the story of trauma, childhood trauma, you know, being raped and held hostage, like all these things that were just like, and I always tell the raped and held hostage story because that was literally the moment that God opened my eyes to all the things that I really wanted to know on a higher level. Because I had already related, I already loved religion to a degree. Like I always was very faithful. I grew up in a faith-filled community, if you will. Well, really my grandmother was really just that person. And because I looked up to her so much, I just listened to everything that she said. And it helped me to make sense of my own spiritual journey at a young age, right? When you're 13 and you're ready to commit suicide and you have no clue why the fuck God put you here, and you don't, and some people have to speak that life over you so you don't take your life, right? So you find value in being here at least enough to make it to that next moment where you might want to do it again, right? So that's just really my story. And since that situation, I have been so hell bent on helping women. That was the biggest thing that it revealed to me, was like, oh my God, I have to help women. I have to help women so that we are not making these mistakes. Could you imagine me experiencing that at 40, me experiencing that at an older age and not 19? I couldn't imagine how I would feel about myself, right? Because we have all these things that happen that make us feel less than, that make us feel triggered. And, you know, it's until we say stop and we start looking at them from third person, like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that didn't work out, or that relationship didn't work out. That just wasn't for me. You'll start living and moving in that elevated sense of knowing, opposed to the shame, the guilt, and all those other emotions that come up when we are triggered, right? So we're just gonna get right into it, okay? We're gonna get right into it. I hope you all have your pens ready. The craziest thing I really want everybody to remember, and I have to tell myself this too all the time, is that that electronics literally disrupt your root chakra. So when you're like, oh my God, I feel so anxious, but you're like scrolling on social media, and we all do this. I'm not judging anybody, but knowing that allows you to put your phone down and walk away. Put it on do not disturb, do whatever the fuck you have to do, delete the apps, do some shit that's gonna hold yourself accountable to, I'm already in a disturbed mood. And then I'm also on electronics, the news, the media. These things literally shake our core to the fullest. Now, again, I did put in the notes, I didn't want you guys to be reading this book while we're doing this. I don't want you to, because I want you to take everything that you get from just here and now and your own intuition and your spirit. I will be reading certain parts from here. Let me turn it back this way, because this is like the Bible to me. And Tamika, you have this though.
Yes, my mom showed me that book years ago. Like, I've had that book for years and years and years. Did I read it? I referred to it, but now I'm like, I'm gonna dig in deep. Because when you showed me the book, I was like,
yeah, you weren't ready. And it reminds me of all the books that I remember having this book about chakras. And I remember the first time I picked it up, like my daughter's 8. So like over 8 years ago, I remember picking it up and it kind of made sense to me, but it felt foreign. I couldn't grasp it. I was just like, what? I'm like, okay, I wasn't consciously at a level to receive that yet.
yeah.
But then when I picked it up again, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Ooh, really? And I always keep books that I just stare at and I'm like, one day I'm gonna read you. But it could be any book. I mean, it's been nonfiction books for me. I remember when my ex had cheated on me and there was this nonfiction book that I could not read. And it wasn't even like a bad book or anything, but I just like hadn't gotten through. I don't know, maybe I got bored or something. And I literally picked it up in that moment where that whole story helped me heal. It just was like a part of my healing and I needed it in that moment. It's the craziest thing. So it's no mistake that you didn't pick it up. You just weren't ready. You weren't ready for it. So when you go back and you read this now, you're going to be blown the F away. You're seriously going to be blown away. So this is like, to me, the Bible of it. She has many books.
Yep.
But this one here is, the 7 stages of power and healing, which is, she talks about the 7 chakras. Yep. So I'm going to give you my interpretation, a little bit mixed with her interpretation. And we're just gonna let it rock out. But the root chakra, so obviously that's red, right? That's just the core, the root. It's kind of like the the roots to your tree of who you are. So the root chakra is feeling safe, grounded, and supported. And this is one of my favorite affirmations because I know out of all the chakras, this one is the most affected by the many of us, right? 99% of people, I would say probably 100% of people have root chakra imbalances. And the coolest thing about this book that she talks about, but she was talking about a different epidemic. She said epidemics are negative group experiences to which we become energetically susceptible if our own personal first chakra fears and attitudes are similar to those held by the culture's overall first chakra. That's so deep, right?
So
this is why I don't, you won't see me online. And sometimes I question, like, should I talk about politics? And it's like, Eb, you don't even, girl, you talking about stuff you don't even know. Just stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane. I just try to be above the consensus, right? It's kind of like following the crowd. Not to say it's not still valuable. I don't want to devalue what people find valuable, but it's also that awareness that like God ordains everything. So whether I choose participating or not, I'm not going to judge it, but me not participating, it keeps my root chakra pretty stable. So the root chakra is safe, grounded, and supported, right? So a lot of the root chakra is your tribal. This is tribe, everything your tribe has instilled in you. And it's not always positive, right? If you grow up in a family that's typically very Christian, a lot of times we get these negative imprints about money, we get negative imprints about life, right? You ever have people say to me, I was a part of this other coaching group, and one of the coaches was like, if you ever have a family member or someone that's close to you that tells you like, oh, you're dreaming too big, she's like, run and finish that conversation, right? But it goes to show how much tribal power has over our lives and how many times we've moved in certain ways because we didn't want to disappoint family members or our ex, or how many messages I've gotten just doing what I do, even in the very beginning from my parents. Why are you talking about us? Let me just say this. If you didn't want to be talked about or part of my book, you should have behaved better. I don't know what I do. Now I am more mindful and trying to be like, okay, well, let me just try to word things in a way that they know that I love them. And this is not a bashing party, but I'm sharing so other people can relate. It's just that.
Yeah.
So when we pay attention to, okay, the strong pull of tribal power, because when we start getting up into these other chakras, this is where it gets uncomfortable. I'm gonna tell you right now, like the energy gets really stiff around the sacral, the solar, really the solar, from the solar, the heart, and up. That's when we start opening things that we're like, oh, this hurts. Like, I thought this was fun, and today is not fun. So I'm just expectations of what this is going to energetically feel like every day. Just be open to it, and I want you to just sit in it, right? That moment where you feel fucking insecure and unworthy, sit in that shit. Sit in it, right? And we're gonna get to the core of, and I'll share it right now, we're gonna get to the core of why we feel the way we feel and what is the real emotion. We're gonna share what is the real emotion. So an emotion I want to share with you, and I'm just gonna put at the top, even though this is not the place for it, but I just want to put it in your head, is shame. And shame of abandonment. So many of us have shame surrounding our story that we don't realize we're replaying that in relationships. And so I'm gonna put in another term, shame of abandonment. You are ashamed that nobody wanted you. You are ashamed that nobody saw you. That's so big. And when I heard it, I was like, damn. Shame grows into other things, right? Shame grows, like you become so ashamed that you're ashamed about the shame. That's how it fucks you up, right? You're like ashamed that I'm ashamed about the shame. Like that's like where the mind goes, because shame is just that thing that just keeps recycling and it keeps us in this cycle. So I just want to put that out there, right? So in our root chakra, one of the main things we have to do, right, is honor our childhood experiences. So you guys all know, if you don't know, that first question I always ask is, what is my story? And don't fluff your story. Don't try to make it more than what it is. Don't try to make it less than what it is. Like honoring the childhood experiences, releasing your judgments, your grudges, and forgiveness. If you have not, the podcast on the 8 steps of forgiveness, you guys know I'm gonna keep talking about this till I turn blue. Forgiveness, to me, what I've really learned, that before we even can forgive other people, we have to forgive ourselves, our parents. And it sounds so weird, like, why would I forgive myself as a child before I forgive my parents? Because as a child, you're almost condemning yourself for, like, for being their child,
Mm-hmm.
as if you had control over that. When in reality, whether you believe in contracts, whether you believe in whatever, your story was supposed to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's about releasing it in such a way that brings you freedom, that brings you clarity, that brings you healthy relationships, that brings you security in knowing who you are, right? Because if we're going back to safe, grounded, and supported, are you safe in who you are? Do you feel like money's safe? That's another thing, right? A lot of times, and we'll get into the heart chakra, sacral chakra is all money too. But a lot of us believe money's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
At the core, if we really talk about it, money's not safe. We grew up believing money wasn't safe to have, right? Because people go into debt, or a lot of us that grew up around hustlers and that hustle culture, we don't realize we really did pick up money wasn't safe. We did, because we grew up seeing lots of money, but you also know there's a fear to it, because like, whether that's your bae, like he might get locked up, your brother might get locked up, or the crime you see, the violence you witness, like those things going hand in hand really teach us money's not safe. So why would we want money? Why would we really want to be abundant? We don't, right? So your tribal power, your foundation of identity, your mental and emotional health, your sense of belonging. And I want to share with you an interesting thing about just the way our chemistry, energy, stories work, right? So a lot of us tend to have grown up being in a sense of not feeling like we belonged, which turned us into what, type A people, right? Type A, we just go-getters. Like it birthed something really, really good. But in the same breath, a lot of us could agree that, and hopefully understand that, the things that made you who you are, right? Sometimes you have to sit back, and this is getting into other chakras, but it's like your motivation of pain isn't necessarily the most, it's not the best motivation to move you forward. It will power you, but so far, right? Which is probably why we're here, because you're like, I got this far, but now I'm feeling like there's this other shift I have to make, and I can't kick it up a gear. Why? Because you've run out of fuel. Pain can only get you so far, to where you hit a wall and you're like, this isn't working anymore. So we turn into overachievers. We're the A students, the B students, right? We're always just doing the best. We're the best at everything that we do. But we're also equally the most critical of ourselves. Extremely tend to be insecure, extremely secretly needing validation. I remember my first coach, I was complaining to her and I wanted to leave my job. And it was like a business slash, inner child healing coaching program. And I was just like complaining to her about all the things that I did. But I remember complaining in such a way, like, yeah, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that. And so they just want me to do everything. And she was like, wait, stop. She's like, you just want to be wanted. You just like to be needed. And I was like, I'm telling you, I quit that job in the next 2 months, right? Because not only did that revelation hit me in the gut, where I was like, damn, Ed, here you are walking around like you just don't need anybody and you're this INDEPE, right? But you literally are operating out of a sense of, I want people to need me. And I'm going to tell you a deeper level to that as a brand. And this is so vulnerable. And this is why I love these spaces, because I get to be vulnerable with you because you're ready to hear it. If I share it on a public video, everybody's not ready to hear it. Everybody's not in a space. But if I say it to you in private, then like, this is some real shit. As a brand, let me tell you what, because of this discovery, so this is something that I've always had in the back of my head, and it's been something that I've healed through. So disclosure, as you're healing, that doesn't mean you're going to like dissolve everything that you've ever been through. I do believe healing is lifelong. I think we lower the volume on the triggers and we up the volume of the faith. We up the volume of the intuition. We up the volume of, I don't give a fuck what you think about me, right? So as a brand, right? So she had told me this, and then, I started to move differently. Like, damn, Ed, that's some shit. Like, you really walk around like you're not that person. And when she said that to me, I'm like, she's so right. Why else would I be working at a job and become this yes person? I said yes to everything. I say, can you get me coffee? Yes, that wasn't my job. Why am I bringing everybody coffee and I'm the fucking director? Why am I like anything that they need me to do? I get off of work at 5, but I'm back in the recording studio at 6:30 recording commercials for them. And then I'm back up at work, the first person at work, the last person to leave. But in my mind, and we'll get into this with the root chakra, I'm being loyal. I have honor. I'm just like superwoman, but who the fuck is it killing in the process? Right? Exactly, me. Nobody else is sweating off their back. They're asking me for more. They can't even see that I'm dying. I'm on my last breath. And you're like, can you just breathe one more time? Right? Just for me. You're like, but if I do that, I'm going to die. Okay. Right. But that's literally what happens. So as a brand with this awareness and just like coming into new levels of myself last year, this year, I feel like this year, almost like it's already June already. But so I had a moment where I had realized when I was getting into feelings of, how do I put this? Okay, so let's say I had used my brand, right? Because everything we do is a manifestation of something, good or bad or neither. I started using my brand as the feel good of being wanted, being needed, being liked, right? So let's say I was having a moment, and in the past, me and my ex were like, we would have an argument or a disagreement. It's not that I would always go live. Maybe sometimes I already had a live planned, but the live started to become almost like a band-aid to the problem. Does that make sense? It's different when you feel a feeling and you sit in it, as uncomfortable as it is, because that's the toughest thing to do, right? You feel a feeling and you're like, I'm about to go get a drink. And there's no judgment to that. But when we do it more than not, then there's a problem. So I had caught myself one day and I just was like, not in a, my vibe was just off. And I think me and him had just like a little disagreement or something. This was last year. And I almost went to go live. And something in my head was like, sit the fuck down. Sit down. No, you're not going live. We're not doing that today. We're going to sit in this feeling. We're going to allow it to be, and we're not going to use anything to get us through. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's like once you learn yourself and you know why you move the way you move, sometimes you have to stop doing certain things because they don't allow you to process that emotion and to deal with yourself, right? Deal with the insecurity, deal with the feeling that you don't feel supported, that you're not grounded in this moment, right? And honestly, sometimes those would be like my best lives, but that's not here nor there. I definitely just, my thing is like feel the thing, right? Feel the thing. And not using as a, I want to feel good because he just pissed me off, or we just had an argument, or I'm not feeling that great about myself, or whatever the hell, right? So your sense of belonging, your spiritual foundation. So a lot of people come to me like, Ebony, how do I just begin? Like, and to me, it's so simple. And I think Tamika, you know this, Catherine, you know this at this point, which is like, it's so simple. I tell people, pray for signs. Like prayer is just the thought of God, show me signs. There's your prayer. Boom. Amen. There's no right or wrong way to do this. In elevation, all the people that, do the hand signs for certain meditations and all that stuff we can learn along our journey. But to me, I feel like when we are trying to become more spiritual and we get too tied into, well, I didn't drink my water and write rich bitch juice on it today, so I'm probably not going to earn any. Like, no, like just let it work for you, right? So also the other thing with chakras is they also affect your body. So energetically, pay attention to feeling back pain at the base of your spine, so your lower back. You tend to have a lot of lower back pain. Your rectum, your legs. My legs are big for me. That's huge. Like my legs will show out when I am not safe, grounded, and supported, okay? your bones, your feet, your immune system, right? What did I say about the epidemic? Epidemics represent. And that was crazy. When I read that, I was like, this book was written in like the 80s, I believe.
Right. That's an old book.
It is, right? But she's talking about a different, I think at that time it was the epidemic of like the 50s and the flu and all the other stuff, right? So this is fears. So your primary fears are fears of physical survival, abandonment by the group, right? Because if you think about tribes, if we all were like in the woods in a real tribe, if you were abandoned by your tribe, you probably like your likelihood of death was probably like 90%. If you made it out and maybe found another tribe or some shit or survived and made it, that was like very rare. You probably were going to die. And I think and not I think I know we have that same reaction when you think about people, like physical reaction, when you think about people not approving of your decisions, not approving of you, not liking you for who you are in relationships, right? When you, as women, when we give so much to someone, our time, our effort, our bodies, you've given them and really, we like, there is power in the pussy. We hold it above, like it's like that top thing. And then once you've given that up, right, it's like, that abandonment of self. And we're going to get into abandonment because I think it's something to be talked about. In loss of a physical order. So the strength of this chakra is tribal, like we talked about, family, identity, bonding, the tribal honor code, the support and the loyalty that give a sense of safety and connection to the physical world. So the truth of this chakra is all is one. All is one. Right? We are all one, that statement, which I think takes time to believe, especially when you get into politics, especially when you get into all these different things. It's like that goes out the window. You know what I'm saying? So I already talked about the things that disrupt it. Fear, absolutely fear. Electronics, news, and media. When you think about electronics, news, and media, typically are pumping fear to some degree, right? Triggering environments. So if you find yourself around people you really don't need to be around, or sometimes if you step into a space where you used to be, you tend to feel anxious, insecure, vulnerable. Change inevitably means letting go of familiar people, places, and moving on to another stage of life. And when you think about your root chakra, even the word decide means to cut off. So when you think about your root chakra and feeling safe, grounded, and supported, you're like, damn, you know what? I have a lot of anxiety, right? And I think even too, we change at a level typically that's comfortable for us. So when, even for me, this is totally omission. When I started changing at a level that was me willing to get so uncomfortable that I knew that I was going to have to face a moment of, what's the word I'm looking for? I knew I would have to face consequences, not only for the decision that I made, but for not making the decision, right? You saw what I posted to Mika earlier, where it says, the thing that derails, this is not the exact quote, it says something like, the thing that derails, what did it call it?
You're connecting to God or something like that.
People.
Yeah.
It's being in relationships that God did not create for you, that He didn't create for you. And so many of us do this because we're looking through lenses of pain. Even through some of the dudes I've encountered via dating that I've done nothing with. I could see now that I'm at a different level, I'm looking at what do they trigger in me. And a lot of them were great individuals. I've learned a lot of things, all that stuff. But being able to see how they trigger you and understanding that everything isn't for us. And when we're not looking through pain, we can see that, right? And we can accept it. And we can, I think as women, just in general, especially when we get to a certain age, even when I was younger, I used to do this. I would ask a dude, like, what's your last name? And I'd be like, nah, we could never be together. Because y'all ever do that? You're like, we just could never be together because that last name just doesn't sound nice with Ebony. Right? It just
Yep. Used to do that.
It just doesn't, right?
Doesn't go with my name.
Right, right. It doesn't sound nice. And then sometimes you're like, it doesn't sound nice, but I just like him so much, right? You have to make it work. I'm keeping my last name though, right?
Yes.
But really changing. I want everybody to definitely inhale the ability to make changes that are so fucking uncomfortable that they literally scare you. They're like, damn, if I did that, you know. And I think even too, sometimes people around us suffer, which me and you, Tamika, we've talked about this with our children, right? When you make a certain decision and your children have to suffer, and not only do you sit with your suffering, but you sit with their suffering too, right? And I think it's getting used to actually making those decisions so that, you know, we are living life. And I just want to speak life over both of you right now, because, and I don't say this in lightness, and anybody watching this on the playback, being here in this space in this time and wanting to heal at a new level, your soul is saying, I need you to step the fuck up. I need you to step the fuck up and out of your insecurities, out of the blankets you put over yourself, which you just like found a blanket 5 minutes ago. The blankets you put over yourself, like you're just gonna have to be outside and be fucking cold. But you know what? You're gonna be a beast. And the people that you're gonna reach and the people that you're gonna touch and the fearlessness that you're gonna put in other people, that's the shit that I need to bring out of you. Right? So when I think about change and I think about, you know, I'm always in my chakras all day, y'all. I'm like, damn, that was some root shit. Or I'm like, I know when I have to tap into a certain energy, and I've elevated to such a space that literally when I meditate I'll send you guys a track if you're interested. I have a track that I've been listening to for years. It's the only Tibetan track that I listen to with just sounds and bowls and stuff. The only one that I've been listening to. I listen to other ones on YouTube, but this is my go-to for me when I'm meditating in the morning. I literally feel that chakra vibrating. When I put on the root, I can feel my body just humming at that area. And I know the difference because I knew when I didn't feel it. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, you know, I know that I'm in a good space to receive and to heal at higher levels. And healing at higher levels, really, 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 and healing is that change we're willing to make and the sacrifices we're willing to make, whether that's moving across country because you know that's something you're meant to do, leaving a relationship, leaving a job, whatever it is, taking a leap of faith, whatever it is, right? Because now you're leaning into the foundation of the spirit. Other than tribal, I think tribe is important, and it's important. That's why it's so important to sidebar that, because a lot of us don't have the tribal foundation of like loving families that get together. I don't really have that, you know, to be honest with you guys. Not to say me and my family don't really get together, but we're not the Brady Bunch. We don't have Christmas dinners together. We just don't. That's why I think it's so important. We have to find our tribe and the people that connect with us. Tamika, everything that you do and you doing what you do is just attracting the people to you that they're your tribe, your sisters, your whatever, right? And the more that we build that out, I think it builds the security in us, because the same way we pour into people, your tribe is meant to pour into you when you need it and least expect it. And that's the most beautiful thing, just like a family would, right? That's your family. They're not blood, but they're your family. And you guys were created to walk this walk together. I cannot tell you how many times I get random messages from random people that I just like sometimes bring me to tears. So I'm like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like God is just amazing, because that's what family does, right? And I do have beautiful family members, but for those of us that don't have like the tight-knit families, you know, your tribe is the people who are out there. So today, in stepping into our root chakra, I'm just going to go over a few more things. In stepping into our root chakra, I want you to ask yourself, and this is a beautiful question I ask people all the time, because, right, we talk about the core of who we are. And this is a question you could ask yourself every day, because we get so afraid every day. How many of us think, right, it's January, right? So we also have big dreams of what's fitting to happen for 2021 and probably the next 5 years, right? 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. And then fear kicks in and things don't happen. You self-sabotage, you procrastinate, you think about some shit too much, you write about it too much instead of just acting on it. And even being a perfectionist, sometimes I've really hindered just the progress of a lot of things, because I'm almost, well, which is perfection is self-sabotage. Because I want it to be perfect, and I'm like overthinking it to a point of overkilling it and then never delivering it. And I shared this visual, which I don't have it right here, and I had packed it aside to share with you. And it's on one of my Instagram lives, it's just a little snippet. And I talk about how we are like this figure, we're like the stick figure. And if you think about the darkness that our minds get into, it's like we literally are the light. And the more we walk away from it with our thoughts and our self-sabotaging behaviors and the people that are around you that are echoing these fears, and like someone said to me today, oh, it's COVID, why are you doing that? And I'm just like, I don't know what to tell people, but I just will not move in fear. I just cannot allow my life to be dictated by fear. Not that I'm not gonna be dumb, but I'm also not gonna move in fear. And I have to know the difference, right? You have to be wise enough to know the difference, discerning enough to know the difference. But asking yourself, if I had no fears or limitations, what would I be? And I'm going to ask you more questions at the end after the meditation to really get you into that vibration of like, literally, if I had no fears or limitations, I don't have any limitations about money. I don't have any limitations about this. I don't have any limitations about that. What the fuck would I do? And that first answer that comes to mind is the thing that you need to do. Because think about all the times you really wanted a higher paying job. You really wanted whatever it was, a new car, whatever you really, really wanted. And you were just so fixated on it. Like, I'm going to get it and I'm going to figure it out. You figure that shit out. Like, you know how people always say, like women were literally like the FBI. We figure shit out, right? You know how to, I had a friend tell me how she figured out where her husband was cheating because she had logged into she did some shit where she like logged into his email and his email tracked where his phone was. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying. What the fuck? What? That's FBI shit. What? His email? You went from his email to tracking where his phone was every day? Take that same energy, apply that shit to like your dreams and figure that shit out. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it just shows how we misuse energy and how it's so easy. As silly as that seems to anybody, we've all been in positions where we've done less than our higher self action because we were living out of pain. We were moving out of pain. So definitely that's a question that I ask myself every day. If I had no fears and limitations, what would it be? Because when we activate that groundedness of I am who I am and all is one, all is always working out for me. Like Lewis Hayes said, she said something in a video the other day that I was like, yes. She said, I just move through life like everything is good. Because even if things go wrong or bad things happen, I know that everything, it's all good. It's all good. And it's really getting ourselves more to that. And again, this is what I tell people because this is the reality of life. When you sit and meditate, and we're going to meditate, and I'm going to get you into the most fucking awesome root chakra space tonight. That's the easy part. The challenging part is tomorrow. When you go out into the world and you're triggered, and all these root chakra things are happening. But because we raise your awareness a little bit and we lower the volume, you're going to be like, hold the fuck up. Wait a minute. If I had no fears or limitations, what would I do or say or be right now? Mm-hmm. Right? And that's what I always remind people. It's so important to remember that it's just about lowering the volume. We don't understand how big that can impact our money, the relationships, the people that come towards us, the opportunities. Just a little bit. It's kind of like if you had a purse, right? You had a purse and God's like, how much money you want? Let me get a bowl, right? I got some measuring cups right here. God says, how much money you want, right? And we're lowering the volume, but in the beginning, we're tight as hell. And we're like, I just think you just give me just enough to pay my bills. That's it, right? What you gonna get? You gonna get enough to go up in this little itty bitty spoon. When God's like, sis, all this for you. You got an option, right? So when you lower the volume, even if you lower the volume, when you go from this little cup to this cup, y'all see that difference? That's a lot, right? This might be $30 an hour. This might be 7 figures.
Right.
Because you lowered it a little bit. Just because you're making 7 figures, that means you won't be triggered? No, not at all. You're going to be triggered for the rest of your life, right? And the smart people, the wise people, we all are learning how to keep turning that fucking volume down. And sometimes the volume is really people, places, and things.
Yes.
Right? Because
Yeah.
those are the things that show you where you're at. Right? If I'm dating someone who's done nothing to me, we've never had sexual relations, but all of a sudden I become insecure because they didn't text back after 2 hours, is it them or is it me? Mm. And that's the level of consciousness I want to operate at.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't want nothing that doesn't want me. And beyond that, I want to know when I'm being triggered so I'm not projecting onto people. Right? It's a two-way street. Right? I want to talk about 2 things and then we're going to meditate. And then we're going to also just talk just about what comes up for you because I think that's really important. The thing that in this book that she talks about that I'm like, this is epic, because the same way I talked about how we became type A people, we're like go-getters, like, yes, girl, I'm like that girl, I'm it girl, right? I figure shit out. I get an A+++, right? That's also to the detriment of you, right? Loyalty, right? Tribal is the loyalty you have to people. And think about how much time you've had loyalty to people at the sacrifice of you. Right? Or how many times you don't want to say something to a friend. And really, I find it in intimate relationships where we're so loyal that the loyalty is what keeps us there too long. Right? Loyalty. And these are questions that are like, just like I said, if somebody doesn't text you back and you're triggered and you feel insecure, is it them or is it you? Fine, you can have that, over time. Maybe even then, is it them or is it you? It's like if you feel like you need to be communicated with more, then you could discuss that with them. But even still, it's like, why project that? Why not just let it be? Why not let them be who they desire to be and you be who you be? And if it doesn't work at some point, then you just, it doesn't work and it's cool. But looking at things from that perspective, in the where am I triggered perspective, and is it them or is it me, to me helps me to be higher conscious level of not projecting, as well as just allowing things to be so that I can be, so that I can release the anxiousness and the fear and the insecurity, right? That's how you release it, by in that moment tapping into that thought process. The second thing she talks about, there's 3 things: loyalty, honor, which are kind of the same thing. But one of the things that she said was, you have to be able to give your word and keep it, whether it is another person or to yourself. You have to be able to trust yourself to complete something and to honor your commitments. When you don't trust yourself, everyone and everything around you feels temporary and fragile, because that is how you feel within yourself. That's deep, right? Right. But see, that's the thing, that when we get into these, turning the mirror from you to me, them to I, now this is healing, right? Now we get shivers. Now we feel like we want to cry, throw up, and all this other shit, because now and literally you might feel these things because that's what happens in the body. That's what happens when we take the viewpoint from out there to in here. And that's a lifelong thing too, because your mind is always going to do what it's used to doing. So if it's used to pointing out there, it's going to take time to get it to start pointing in here. I'm going to give you guys actions at the end of this to do. These are the things that are going to be totally triggering in a good way to your root chakra. So that when you are feeling these things, or things that you can do, everything that really do get to the root chakra of your, the root of your issues, to really move forward. But that was so deep. I think I'm gonna read that again. You have to be able to give your word and to keep it, whether it is to another person or to yourself. You have to be able to trust yourself to complete something and to honor your commitments. When you don't trust yourself, everything and everyone around you, everyone and everything around you feels temporary and fragile, because that is how you feel within yourself. And it's okay. It's okay. Like, I believe as powerful women, we need to take the capes off. I want to take my cape off. I want to sell it on Amazon and eBay. I want to put it on eBay. Somebody can have that on eBay, Amazon, the thrift shop. I'll take it to Goodwill. because no longer can we be so strong to the detriment of ourselves, so strong that we actually really are fragile people. And I can resonate with that. And I'm saying that with complete honesty and vulnerability, that as strong as I've showed up for years, not until last year, which is why I think God was ready to put this program on to me, because I've been doing Return to Your Throne, which I will be doing that again. But I wasn't ready to see that you can turn, and I said this in the beginning, you can turn pain into power. That's so easy. That's the easy thing to do. But to turn pain into peace, that's like a life mission right there. So true. It's a life mission. It really is. Because once I turned it into peace and I was unbothered, I was like, oh, I don't even want the power no more. Y'all can keep that. Last thing is justice. Do unto others what you want them done unto you. What goes around comes around. Um, it is just to seek revenge for harmful actions that are without cause. It is just to do all that is necessary to protect oneself and one's family. It is just to assist other family members in actions of protection or vengeance. It is unjust to put any family member at risk for personal gain. It is unjust not to follow through on a tribal command. It is unjust to assist anyone with whom the tribe recognizes as a threat. But even these statements, right? It's like the vision of how we look at the justice of how people treat us. And I think even as, I just want to say this, sometimes even as people who feel like we're just, and I just want to admit this, because it was a lot of times that people would say to me, even though you feel like you say what you say and you think it's not mean, like it's mean, it's really like asshole-ish. And I'm like, but I'm like cookie cutter Sally. So you might say, like, you know, all my people are from Brooklyn, so they might be like, go fuck yourself, right? And here I am where I'm like, what I'm going to ask you to do is to take this stick and you can shove it up your ass. Have a great day, right? But this is my tone of voice, right? I've said the same thing in a very calm, nice way, but I said the same thing. But in my mind, I'm like, it was calm, it was collected. What's the problem, right? Mm-hmm. So in the thoughts of being just, you know, I think a lot of times I always would say to myself that I wasn't the kind of person that sought vengeance, which in a way I really didn't, but I did, if I want to be accountable, I did when it came to doing things in a way that to me felt like I wasn't being mean, felt like I wasn't being harmful, even though the receivers would say to me, that hurt. And I'm like, well, it shouldn't have, because I said it really soft and kindly. I told you fuck yourself, but I said it really in a calm meditation voice. So you should be good. Like you should be able to meditate now, because I delivered it in a way that was kind, right? So just checking ourselves in those ways when we're looking at the triggers of being, again, your root chakra. If it's balanced, you're safe, grounded, and supported. If it's not balanced, you're all the other things, right? Anxious, insecure, vulnerable. And that's okay. It's about the giving yourself grace in those experiences and those moments, and allowing yourself to be present in them and to really see what's happening with you, right? And to be accountable. And I'm just going to clear the space and we're going to get ready to meditate. I just want everyone to breathe out. Before we got on here, I was like, so if you ever need to sit down and just ground your energy, I want you to do this a couple times. So it's just the, so you know when you're frustrated, so you're just gonna, when you breathe out, like make that sound, and you'll feel it really at your base, right? So you're just like, and just do it until you feel like, okay, I've released all of that energy. I've released all of that, whatever I felt, and I feel a little bit clearer. But I definitely can't wait to hear what you guys have to say when you think of the things, when you think of your root chakra, the way that you move. So we're going to get into a meditation space. So if you have your headphones, that's going to be the best. Drink your water if you need to drink some water. The root chakra is also associated with nature. That's why it's so important to get into nature. When they say ground yourself, even if it's for a quick walk, even if you got to sit outside, I'll probably sit outside after this, just to ground my energy. Sitting on the floor like physically sitting on your floor, not your couch, just like sitting on your floor some days, and just lay on your floor some days. If you feel like you're having an overwhelming day, lay on your floor.
Mm-hmm.
Lay right on your floor. Sit down on the floor. All right. Like some good paddle sound. All right, so let's get into it. Put your headphones in. Kat, are you still with me, honey bunnies? Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. I want to make sure my honey is here. All right, so let's get our headphones out. Let me just find my music. There it is. And please let me know when you can hear it. I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna start talking. So I want you to let me know if it's actually louder or than the music. I'm just gonna mute everyone. Well, let me not mute you yet. Sorry about that. Let me not mute you yet. Okay, so is my voice louder than the music? And can you hear the music? Can you hear my voice, or is my voice softer than the music? Can you hear me? It's overpowering. What's louder?
Music.
It's too loud. It's too loud. I need it to be perfect. How about now? How about now?
Better.
Great. Okay, I'm gonna try to project my voice too. All right, so close your eyes. So today, as we step into a higher conscious healing space, we're just gonna allow, we want to be gracious. You know, if we're feeling any ailment, any sickness, any unease, dis-ease, anxiousness, vulnerability, we're just gonna allow it to be. We're not gonna push it away. But we are gonna step into a consciousness of healing, of knowing you are your own healer. Deep breath in through your nose and release. Deep breath in through your nose and release. I want you to do that sound. Just give yourself permission to just let loose. Just release all the energy that gets trapped in your body from past experiences, from feeling abandoned, unworthy, unseen, unloved, not loved fully, maybe just loved good enough. Again, deep breath in, hold, and release. And before we begin, I want you to remember that ease, calm, and flow is your natural state. Deep breath in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose and hold. hold. And breathe out through your mouth. As you hear the sounds, I want you to envision yourself on a beach. And as you walk along this beach, you can see a small, tiny person walking your way. And as you get closer and closer, you begin to see that it is you. It is your little girl self. And as you see each other, you both smile. Maybe you're 3, maybe you're 5. Maybe you even just seeing yourself brings up so much emotion. I want you to kneel down and hug her. I want you to hold her. And as I say these affirmations, you are going to say them to her. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. As we speak life into our little girl, we say, I trust myself. I love life. I am grateful. I feel safe. I am secure. I am grounded. I am stable. I am loved. I trust life, and I trust the way that it unfolds. I am confident. I love my body. I am abundant. I am protected. I am courageous. I am nourished. I am wealthy. I am strong. And I am stable. And as you look into her eyes and you say these things, you can see that she becomes excited for you, elated for you. And in this moment, as you see yourself, I want you to tell her that you love her, that you value every single part about her. I want you to tell her that she may not understand her future experiences, but the person she sees now is loved, secured, and healed. And that as you healed her. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. And as you give her one last hug, and you tell her you love her and she's safe, She is protected and supported. I want you to take yourself out of this space, leaving the beach and stepping into a space. Go high above you. Go higher and higher until everything that's around you looks like you're just in the universe, surrounded by darkness and stars. And just imagine that you know nothing. You know nothing of your experiences. You know nothing about anything. In this space, you just get to be with no bounds of skin color or time. With no bounds of experiences or distractions. In this space, you just get to be. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. As you feel this lightness and energy, this freedom to just be, imagine all the possibilities that are on the other side of your fears. All the possibilities that are on the other side of your insecurities. I want you to see yourself abundant, loved, wanting for nothing and no one, just free. Free to live the life you dream. Free of limitation and excuses. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. And in this space of possibilities, everything exists and everything is available for you. Today, as we let go and we step into the present, the most valuable time, we are stepping into a new level of consciousness, of being, of awareness of who we really are, of being safe, grounded, and supported, even beyond our comprehension. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. And as I say these affirmations to elevate your vibration in this moment, may they root you and ground you in the amazing, amazing person that you are. Amazing person that you were created to be. Releasing and putting to rest the triggering experiences that caused you to feel unworthy, unseen, unappreciated, unloved. And may they ground you in the truth that you are that person that gets to do this. are the person who gets to choose. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And breathe out through your mouth. I trust in the goodness of life to carry me through. I receive pleasure and abundance with every breath that I take. I am in touch with the source of my power, which cannot be found in anything or anyone but God, which is in me, around me, and serves me now. I have the courage to love and to let go. I speak my truth and express myself honestly, even if it hurts. I open myself to inner guidance and wisdom at all times, having sight beyond sight. I am open to the healing power of spirit working in my life from this day forward. And as I breathe through this grounding experience, I know that spirit works through me, for me, and all I have to do is ask and step into this beautiful space of receiving, of surrendering, of letting go, and of faith. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth as we affirm there is no circumstance, past or present, or obstacle to the mind of God, which is in me, around me, and serves me now. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and hold, and breathe out through your mouth. Deep healing breath in and healing breath out. Healing breath in, healing breath out. Just allow the music to guide you, to ground you into the safety of your being. Sent here to do extraordinary things with the seed that was only planted in you. Deep breath in and release. Deep breath in and release. Deep breath in and release. And when you are ready, open your eyes. All right, so I'm going to unmute you. How are you feeling? What came up for you all?
I cried through that whole thing.
I felt it.
I mean, I wept. I wept.
That's so good.
Mm.
That's so good. I feel a lot of heart pain. So once we get to that chakra, that'll be great. And we can, and this is where I want you to tune into your body, where we literally are evoking root issues, and our heart just, you see how that affects our heart? It just goes right up to our heart. It goes right through the sacral, the solar, and just like, and I feel that so much. I feel it in my throat too. I said something, when I said this, I felt like I wanted to cry for y'all. For somebody, this was for somebody, and I just felt it so much. Like I just felt that, like my breath. I speak my truth and express myself honestly.
Yeah, I can't speak for anyone. I felt like that was for me.
Really? Okay. Like when I said that, I was like, oh, I just felt like that hurt so much when I said it. And I don't really resonate with the hurt of that. I do to a degree, but not to that degree of like, but that is just so beautiful. That is just so beautiful that you did weep. These will be saved. So if you ever feel like you want to come back to us, I even thought like, damn, I should pull this. Maybe in the future I'll pull them, like just meditation only. But I'm gonna send, what I am gonna do is I'm gonna add you both to the GroupMe group of the women who are already here. I can either do that or I can just send it to you separately. Just let me know where you want to do it. So because I had not developed a supportive group onward, I had developed a GroupMe that I could still text you all and support you and empower you and chat with you along the way. And then in about a month, we'll come back free of cost and we'll get back together, just as my way of just seeing where everyone is and just how I can support you. But I almost feel like my throat, almost like I can't talk. Whew.
All my stuff right now.
Your whole makeup looks so dirty. You had makeup on?
I don't know. Maybe the tears washed away impurities in my skin. Oh, God.
What was the most triggering thing? Was it seeing your little girl?
As soon as you said, that's you, when you were talking,
you saw her.
I broke and I saw myself. And my mom had just found a picture of me at like 4 years old on the beach digging in sand. Like 2 weeks ago when I was at her house, and she gave it to me.
No way. You have it?
Yes.
No
I'm going to send it to you because it's in my phone.
Wow. So one of the activities I'm going to have you all do is a couple things. I want you to take that picture and I want you to frame it. I'll send you mine because I have mine. Where is she? I think it's over on by my nightstand. And I wanted it to be a happy picture because there are pictures that I have as a kid that I know, like when I look at them, I almost want to cry because I'm like, you look so unhappy, Evelyn. I just want to hug you. I actually gave myself a hug the other day. So these are activities you can do. Hug yourself, like literally, like like the little hug like this, like give yourself one of those, right? But I want you to take a picture of your little girl self, a good one, not the sad ones, because I know I don't know about y'all, but I've seen a few of them where I'm like, I don't like that picture at all. It's triggering me in some kind of way that I'm not feeling right now, right? Right, and you try to like, you can't get over it that way. You need a happy inner child picture. But just a picture of yourself happy and frame it so that that's a level of like honoring yourself. And I did this like a month ago, maybe like it might have been a little over that. And it was just interesting because as I was, coaches have coaches, as I'm working with my business coach who also does inner child healing, he had just mentioned something and I'm like, it's crazy because I have this picture that for some reason I was led to like I literally went to Walmart. I'm like, I'm going to find the perfect frame for this. And the frame says, I love you. It's a black frame and it says, I love you in gold. And I was like, that's the fucking frame that this needs to be in.
Okay.
And just put it where you can see it. And I think at some point in your life, whenever you feel like taking it out the frame, where you feel like I've done enough work that, I'm not triggered at that level. I'm more triggered about my adulthood experiences at this point. You know what I'm saying? Which I think inner child, again, is always a thing that we are working through, and there's levels to it with our parents and our whatever, right? So I want you to do that. More actions of grounding your root chakra are dancing. So twerking, like everybody, like it's like twerking is like a bad, no, twerking is like so grounding to the root chakra. So twerk as much as you can. If you don't like to twerk, you could just do, your little whines, like, whine your hips, dancing, nature, inner child joy. So your coloring books, like the shit you would have did as a kid, painting, anything that you love to do as a kid, to really make sure you even if you're someone who, you're on tight schedules, like start infusing that and like putting that into your calendar. Like every Saturday I'm doing, or at least 2 times a week, I'm going to take time and do some inner child joyful shit, like some shit that's so fucking, I'm going to go buy Play-Doh. Like whatever the fuck it is, don't even judge yourself. Like, because I'm telling you, this is all part of the bigger work. And as adults, the reason why we get fucked up is because, let me tell you what I have begun to do that I didn't realize. I began to love ebony. Here, this ebony. But I had never really gone back to honor the kid self. There was literally a point in life where I remember this, like, so my oldest, she's 11, so it probably was about maybe 9 years ago. She was very tiny at that time, and she was the only child I had at that time. And I remember being so stiff because I had worked so hard to become consistent, just like just who I had become, that I was like really rigid. And I remember not feeling like, like if I'm being serious right now and I'm trying to write a paper, like don't be over there trying to make me laugh. This is not the time, right? Those things deny us of our inner child. We never really go back and still be kids. Or we have this tribal, right? Going back to tribe, we have a tribal thing that we do, that we've separated the adult from the child. And when you get into the metaphysics of just life and just time, like when people are like, time doesn't exist, it's such a difficult concept. But when you really think about it, it doesn't, because when you're triggered and you feel small, you feel 3. So how does time exist? Right? You just went back to 3, you went back to 5, you went back to 6, you went back to 12. So how does time really exist when you're literally going back to those points at any given time you desire, at any given time you're triggered, right? So if you got to go buy Play-Doh, if you want to buy yarn, if you want to fucking make a boondoggle, fucking keychain, I don't give a fuck what you do, whatever shit you did as a kid, as a teen, as a whatever, that shit that brought you joy and peace, right? Because all that shit is joy plus peace. Right? When you sat in the grass, I used to play in the grass. I used to go gather leaves, and like the leaves were money. If you feel like doing some shit like that, do that. Like whatever it is, honor your inner child joy and make that a habit for like the rest of your life. I think that's a habit we should have for the rest of our life, because as a culture, especially as Black and brown people, joy is very foreign. Like joy, we get happiness. But joy, just that bliss of like, yo, I'm just so happy right now. I'm telling you, and you guys have to message me or send me your little pictures that you color in. But I've sat there sometimes and I've like colored and I've done things and I'm like, this is like, I feel so proud of myself. I don't know if you guys saw the painting I did of a tarot card a couple weeks back. Now, granted, I had some wine with it, but it was so much fun. So much fun to just paint and just be in that space. Like, I was just elated. I just was like, this is just, it was like a great moment of just joy and knowing that I have to cultivate that. Joy is not going to come to me because I get a new car or I get the 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house that I'm going to buy, or what, like all these things that we equate to, then I'll be happy. Right? The inner child joy is so important. Last but not least, the thing that you should try to do every single day, if you already have affirmations, is the mirror work. Even if you don't even start with your affirmations. Sometimes it's that too much, because sometimes looking at yourself, we don't really do it. When you look at yourself and you put on makeup, you're not looking through your eyes. When you, like, if you do this when we get off of here, you're going to be bugged out, because when you start to do it and you just stare at yourself, I feel like there's this layer of time that lapses, and then you just like see past yourself and you don't see yourself, and you realize you've never looked at yourself. You've never looked into the soul of who you are and said, Tamika, Catherine, Ebony, I love you. I love you so much. So I want you to say that every single day to yourself. Don't even do your affirmations if that's too much. Just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. I love you so much. And if it propels you more to buy a special mirror, like one for your purse, or a cute little mirror that's like in the shape of a third eye, I don't fuck what you do. Whatever propels you to do it. And make sure that eventually becomes a habit of, like, I love you. So when you're feeling insecure, or when you're feeling like somebody didn't text you back, or you didn't get the job you wanted, or the income, whatever the fuck insecurities arise, we are stepping into the space of love so that we can be open to receive, right? When we are in bad spaces of energy, we are not open to receive all the things. We're just here with this little cup, right? And then we wonder why we're not getting what we desire, but you haven't even opened your space energetically to receive. And Tamika, based on all the shit you were doing with your group, like, this is going to be like, because y'all cleansed, y'all did all that. This is going to be like the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. I know it. So I just want to chat with you. Do you guys want to chat about some of the other things came up, or the things when you were thinking about like tribal, or just like your root chakra, and like memories that came to you?
I just think it's just so amazing to me, just like how things are aligning, like me getting that picture of, because we've talked about this, I'm a water sign, my peace is at the ocean. That's why I've been in Mexico twice since October. It's like I have to get to wherever I can go where there's a beach. So to get that picture 2 weeks ago, and I remember when I looked at it, I'm like so happy. Like, I'm so happy in that picture. And it was like such a, like, I don't know the words to use, like a clear happiness, not a weighed down happiness, like just like, a childhood joy. So when you said, that the little girl is you, I clearly saw myself, because I had just looked at that picture. I had a maroon bathing suit on with like orange straps. My hair was in two pigtails. My eyes are like, because my skin was a lot darker, because I used to always be outside when I was younger. So my eyes were really popping, and I could clearly see myself. And I think the look that I saw was like, as I was first starting to talk out loud and say what you said to say, as the child me was kind of looking like, why are you telling me this? Like, kind of, my head was kind of like smiling, but why are you telling me this? And it was like a sense of relief, like, oh, okay, I'm going to be good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like, yeah, so I know that the work I have to do, because I think I shared this with you, I have whole blocks of my childhood that I cannot remember. I mean, we're talking years, like spans of 3 years at a time or something. I know I have to uncover to figure out.
It's gonna come back.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back. And some of it might be unpleasant. It's gonna come back though. And it's funny because my mom literally said this to me the other day. She's like, I just think I've just buried them. And I'm like, you did. You did. We do to protect ourselves. And even as children, think about how crafty we are in just telling ourselves stories. So when I thought about creating this program, and I just was like tuned in and just listening to like, okay, how should I do these meditations? And I have a method, like I have a thing that I look at to know what do I need to talk about next. So getting you to the space of become nothing. Right. Now you know nothing.
That.
You don't know nothing. How does that feel? For me, that feels amazing because I'm so intuitive. I'm so emotionally aware that sometimes I'm like the worst person to be in a psychologist's office. like it's like, do you want me to help you or do you not want me to help you? Because it's like, I'm too smart. Can you help me? I'm waiting for you to be smarter than I am, right? Which is such a detriment to just knowing too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know too much. You've experienced too much. It's like they're like when you are told you have an old soul, it's because you learned too much shit too soon, right? It's traumatic, right? It's just that's because you've been through some shit.
Right.
So I really love that, and I think for you, just everything that's been happening, everything that's aligning. First of all, the fact of like your yes, I wanted to tell you that. I was like, I have to tell her and everyone. Just I honor these spaces so much. Mm-hmm. Because this is my purpose.
Right.
So when people say yes to allowing me to turn my light on and just to allow God to work through me unfiltered, to where I'm not thinking too much, asking too much, and questioning too much, it's just such a beautiful thing, because that's where I know the growth happens, right? It's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and the teachers can be all kind of people, places, and things. Children, you gotta, how the frick do you get the same book in the mail today that I post?
I was so blown away because I commented. I was like, oh, like I want that book. And then when I opened it, I'm like, oh, Gloria just posted this today and she sent me the book. Then I was like, no, I posted that. And I called Gloria and she was like, no, oh my God. Because not everybody gets the same book. Like she curates the boxes.
Wow.
She has different books that she picks from. And she was like, I knew in my heart I had to send you that book.
Yes. So I'm not that far and it's good.
Yeah, like everything aligning between the picture and the book. And earlier today, I was just so, and I was like, this is crappy because I'm starting 7 days of clarity today and I feel like horse manure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, let me do a really quick HIIT workout. Let me just get and when I tell you, I felt like my whole chest collapsed. Like I had to sleep for 2 hours, and I do HIIT workouts 3 times a week. My chest was burning. Like I could not breathe. My voice, like it felt like there was something in my throat. And I was like, you know what? I'm not giving it. Let me just lay down. I turned everything off. I'm like, nothing matters right now. So I feel like my whole chest is about to collapse. And this is crazy. I've never felt like this. So I laid down and I still like my throat and my chest were just hurting. So when we got to the place of being in the stars, I could feel like that heaviness that was earlier making my chest collapse. It was like I took the best deep breath. Then I really wept because I have not taken a deep breath like that, and I'm so long. Like,
mm-hmm. And that's the thing about being a child. When you're a child, we actually breathe properly.
Right.
We breathe properly as children, and when we become adults, we do this shallow, through the nose or mouth, somewhat open, letting in just a little bit, right? And we're not. That's why I'm like, you get it, and it's just a consciousness, right? When we're frustrated and we're feeling ungrounded, even if fucking people are around you, like letting that shit out. But something you said as far as the energy, I think to me, this is what proves that everything's happening in the spirit and then it manifests in the physical. So when you get sick, it's a representation of something's not right, and where it is. Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you don't know who he is, definitely get to know him because he's an actual doctor. But he talks about, where these things show up and how he has these retreats where he'll have people who are like paraplegic, people who have insane, like shit that all the doctors, because the medical field, like science and religion are always, science and not religion, spirituality are always like this, when in reality they're just one. And they're healed. And they also, when they do a lot of, when he does his retreats, they do a lot of like MRIs, and they watch the brain, and they watch what lights up, and they watch different parts of the brain. So definitely look him up. Starts watching what he does, because it pieces together. I feel like for you, what it is, especially at your journey, is that it, for you today, you did the right thing where you're like, let me do a workout. You move the energy, but in the same breath, you probably, instead of that type of thing, you need more of like yoga, something more lightweight that moved the energy, opposed to you showed up with force, right? You tried to turn pain into power.
Yeah.
Opposed to peace, right? And your body, and look what your body did to you. It said, well, we still gonna turn this into peace, because then your ass took a whole 2-hour nap.
I was like, girl.
Yes.
What are you doing? It felt crazy. I've never felt like that. And I jog, I've never felt like that. I'm like, oh Lord, I caught the asthma. Like I felt myself wheezing. It felt, this was so interesting. I'm serious. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
And that is just the blessing of releasing energy, is that when we step into the deeper consciousness of self, and that's really just what we're doing. We're going back to the deep moments, and we're first talking about it, we're verbalizing it, we're piecing it together, and then we're stepping into that space of, okay, root chakra was to talk to our inner child, right? Let's become nothing. Let's step into possibilities. And every step, I could feel it within you guys. Like I felt that whole shift when we first got on. I'm like, damn, like even my energy, you know how I am. Like obviously you guys worked with me, so I pick up everyone's energy, period, just with or without choice. And the minute we got to that last possibilities part, even for me, I felt like, but then there was like a little bit of like in my throat and in my heart, which was your emotions of release. And if you need to go back to that moment, and like I said, I'm going to send you the Tibetan chakra sounds that I listen to. If you need to go back to that moment, that's all you got to do. It's that simple. It's all you got to do. Tamika, when these memories start coming back to you, and it might be triggering ones, like I've had memories that I really sat there, like in 2019, I remember sitting there one day, and I felt like I was in limbo, because I was like, did that happen? Or did I make that up? I don't know if that really happened. I had to call a family member, like, did that happen? Because I don't know. Like it just came back, and I'm like, what? The fuck is this? So it's literally like me doing this for and with people is to show you, this is all you literally have to do. No, you don't have my voice there, but the method of stepping into an experience, especially the hurtful ones, and remembering that first we start out in them, right? And this is how we turn pain into peace. We start out in them, and they hurt. They hurt so bad, but we need to feel that. And then you just start taking yourself up and up and up until you're like above it. And then it becomes, oh, that's interesting. And it happened. And as many times as you have to go to that moment, there's been times I've had to go to a specific moment until I felt like what you were doing with weeping. I remember a time where I was meditating, and I was meditating about my mother wound, and how my mother used to send me to get her ex-husband now. And he used to live in this area that was just all like drug addicts and like pedophiles. And I never realized how much that made me feel so unsupported and unsafe. I never realized that. And I remember one morning doing my 5 a.m. meditations, and I'm sitting there, and when I say my tears were just like, my whole shirt was wet. I just couldn't even stop crying. I probably sat there for like 30 minutes bawling. And I had to keep going back to that moment. I probably had to go back at least 2 more times to feel the release of like, all right, I'm good. right? And there are many more moments. That's why I always say inner child is it's a constant thing, because once you uncover other moments, there's other moments that have to come up to show you, well, you kind of held on to it there too. You held on to it then, but there was this other time you felt unsafe too. Remember that? Let's bring that up so we can wash and cleanse that away and release that. And the more you do it, I'm at a point where now it doesn't feel so, how do I say it? I guess my ability to allow it to pass is quicker. My ability to turn the volume down is quicker, opposed to me letting it linger for like weeks, or not knowing that it exists and allowing it to live within me, and to have moments where I feel immense sadness or immense abandonment, or I don't feel safe, and I'm not tying it back to a thing, and I'm not taking myself to a space of inquiry like, hey soul, what's up? Take me back to where this emotion was planted within me, so that I can release it, because I want to feel safe, grounded, and supported. And going back to our measuring cup analogy, right? In doing that energetically, we are opening our cups a little bit more to receive. We are opening our cups a little bit more to receive, so that we do give from overflow. It's really as simple as that. That's why a lot of times when I'm doing these programs, I'm like, how do you put value on energy shifts? How do you put value on energy shifts? You really just can't. I don't even know how, like, sometimes I get stuck in selling it to people and not trying to be cocky, but I'm just like, shit, if you shift a little bit, if you let go a little bit, if you forgive a little bit, like, we don't even understand how massive that is, like the explosion of like a whole new galaxy being born, a whole new star being birthed. We just don't even see that within ourselves. And today I know you both are just going to feel, and whoever's watching this is just going to feel that relief of like a little bit more sense of relief. So if there's anything else you want to share, I'm definitely holding the space for you, but I've shared everything that I have to share. My last recommendation always is to take a shower, cleanse it off. If you have some type of mantra, sometimes a lot of times for me, I'm like, God, cleanse, as I'm cleansing my body, starting with my head, cleanse my mind and my third eye and my ability to see, cleanse my throat, cleanse my body from any guilt or shame that I carry, any trauma, any wounds that I'm holding against other people. Just as simple as that. Wash your feet. When I get out the shower, typically when I do like these, deeper level things, I take more time to rub my feet, more intentional time of like really rubbing them and appreciating them for carrying me through life. Like literally, they carry us through life. And then let that be that, and have a beautiful, beautiful rest. Beautiful rest. And then obviously I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:30 again. But is there anything else you would like to share? Because this is my space for you.
The only thing else I want to share is when you were just talking about the importance of going back to our inner child. I know you saw the video I put up today when I opened up Gloria's box and all that other stuff. I did a second video to say who I was sending boxes to. And in the video, you're going to be like, wait till you see, you're going to be like, I said, thank you for your overwhelming response, especially to my reaction. People were saying like, oh, you look like a big kid. You're just whatever. And in that video, I said, I encourage you to surround yourself with people who allow you to bring out your inner child. Hand to God. I said it 90 minutes ago, or 90 minutes before this started. And then we talked about this. You got to look at the video. Because I am like, when I get surprises in the mail or gifts from friends, it could be a pen, but it just makes me like, if it's a surprise and unexpected, I'm like, oh my God. And it's authentic. It's not like I'm acting, I'm trying to make you feel good.
Yeah.
I feel like a kid, and I like the way that feels.
Touche. And Kat is on here too. Catherine is such a beautiful soul. She was like gifting me with gifts for the longest. She's such a beautiful soul. I want everybody to follow everybody on here, but I'm literally that type of person too. Like, I love gifts, but needless to say, as far as alignment, I don't even think I was using that word, because clarity is alignment. Because, right, going back to Martin Luther King, right? We don't know the next step.
Yeah.
but we move. And I believe in our minds, we have this, if we really think about it, and this is why we don't move, is because we don't see the whole step. And we think, I have to see the whole step because that's the clarity. The clarity is like, I know what my business plan is in the next 5 years. And guess what? Life happens and shit happens. And you might feel like you did some shit for 1 year and now you don't resonate with it anymore. You got to do a little bit of healing and letting go work around that, right? Because every time we lose something, businesses, people, or jobs, there's sort of cleansing work that we have to do so we can let things go with peace and love, right?
Yeah.
But that's just so, it's just alignment, and it's so beautiful. It's really beautiful. And I've seen it, you know, not that I haven't seen it before in life, but I believe when you're watching people and they're like, well, are you, what do they call it? It's like when you begin to manifest like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what clarity and alignment is.
Yeah.
And even when you manifest something you don't want, you're conscious enough to know, again, they didn't text you back after 2 hours. Is it them or is it you? If I manifested something I don't want, what is this showing me about where I'm vibrating at? And that's that. And we leave it at that. In some circumstances, you know, I always talk about when my car got hit. It's like that wasn't a circumstance. Like people, we look at, I feel like we are okay with applying it to certain circumstances. The things we find difficult are the bad experiences. If you manifest something bad, like, you know, there was a gentleman who took my whole front off of my car. But that experience taught me how to really embody and believe that everything happens for me.
Yeah.
So that in the moment, I released it. I was calm. I was collected. It was all good. Everything happened beautifully. And even when bumps came along the way, I was so determined that I was like, nope. Only because I was calm. And just knowing that when we act from that place of clarity and calmness, that's how we bring about the alignment. And I think that's insane that she picks different books and you got that book.
And last week, my cousin Danny, she did something with you, I think. Yeah, she did a intuitive healing session with you after I did mine. I was like, girl, you got it. She did it with you. So last week I saw her and she's like, I have a gift for you. And I said, okay. She's like, I'm starting to make these intention candles and I made 2 for you. And so this is the first one. It says sacral on it. And then here's the second one. It says solar plexus. And like when I was meditating, she's like, I just felt very strongly that these were the 2 that you needed. And I was like, do you know I'm doing 7 days of clarity with Eb next week? She was like, no. I was like, this is bananas.
Wow. And watch when we get into those 2 chakras, they're going to fuck you up.
I know they are.
It really is.
Yeah.
The higher we go, it gets clear once we get to the third eye and the crown. But in between that, like these roads are like bumpy. It's like it starts where you're just like, it's like when you're on a plane, you're like, when is it gonna stop shaking?
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be turbulent. So just pay attention to everything. Just pay attention, and your spirit's gonna do it anyways. Your spirit's gonna hone in on shit like the wing of a butterfly a mile, you know, because you said yes. You said yes. And from this point on, you know, I don't say this lightly because I know how it works, but your life is going to forever be changed because you're stepping into a new level of consciousness healing that you are able to now go do this by yourself. Implement into the things you do with people.
Yeah.
Bring that awareness to them because you brought that awareness to you. And that is the goal, right? Yeah. That is the goal of like expanding. Once we expand in the nature of how we should, and going back to our cups, like not expanding is anti-life.
Yeah.
Right? And then we get stuck at these points and we realize, well, why am I like, and it's like, no, where am I not allowing and expanding? And to me, that's why healing to me is like, that's just my life's work. Because when I was able, when you're able to see the way you operate when you don't heal, we all can resonate with Tamika. You're an executive. You're dealing with, you know, there's different levels of where we see different things. You know, it's like whether you're a 6-figure earner, a 5-figure earner, a millionaire, or a celebrity, or whatever. Healing is no face.
Yeah,
Something we all have to do, and the more we do it, and the more we're okay with it, and we normalize it, we give people in our spaces permission to do it. Because 6 and 7 figure women, we don't give ourselves permission to do that. We don't give ourselves, and I think there's a theory that because you've reached that you've healed and you figured it out. And it's like, you figured out a method. Methods don't heal people. The work does. Like doing the work does, you know?
It was a wake-up call for me, because when I hit it, and my story of how I hit 6 figures is bananas. We'll talk about that another time. But then I realized, I was like, I'm still jacked up.
There you go.
It didn't fix anything. It didn't fix anything.
If anything, it amplifies it, because now you feel even more worthy and more lonely, because now you've reached a level that you thought would be the pinnacle of I've arrived, and now you feel more lost than ever, because now you're in a space where you now have done all the things to get there. It's like going on a journey. It's like, what's that book? The fucking The Alchemist.
Yes.
Right?
Just looking.
He did all that shit to go right back to where he started, girl.
All of that?
The journey is worth it. The journey is still worth it, right? Because we say I'd be happier to cry inside of my Bentley than, broke down Honda that won't start, right? That's cool. Right. But still, the point is, we still have to go back to ground zero. You know?
And for me, when I get to a place where there's more to lose in relationships, and then when I got to that place, right? Like, I literally got a job that literally doubled my salary in a day, right? And then it was like, oh my God, I can't believe, oh my God, this is awesome. But I was 40. It felt like such a huge accomplishment. But then I was like, what if I lose it? How much more to lose now? I get like that in relationships too. Like, things will be going good and my heart is in it. And then I feel myself pulling back, because I'm like, now you're too much to lose. Too much to lose. I want to get past that. I'm get better at it. But that was it was like what Brene Brown talks about, that vulnerability. Like, when you're looking at your newborn baby and you have this overwhelming sense of joy, and in the same moment, you have this overwhelming sense of fear, like, but what if something happens to this baby?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to wrestle with that all the time anymore.
You won't.
Yeah.
You won't. As we elevate past each chakra, it's literally like activating, it's like when you look at the light and it's like red, yellow, green. As we're activating the different levels of consciousness, you can no longer allow yourself to do the things you once did because you're too aware. It's like, when you know better, you have to do better, because now you can't unlearn the shit that you learned. You can't ride a bike and then pretend you didn't know how to ride a bike.
That's true.
Be cute. You're like, I don't know how to ride a bike. You can teach me. You see you on the bike, like,
girl.
You just can't. So some more questions for self-examination, and then I'm gonna wish you all an amazing, beautiful night. I honor you. I see you. We're gonna do a quick little intuitive thing that I was guided to do. I don't know if I did it with your group when I did the meditations. I don't think I did, but this is what I do at the end of them. But before we do that, some more questions that Carolyn Miss brought up that I think are really great. What belief patterns did you inherit from your family? Which of those belief patterns still have authority in your thinking? Can you acknowledge are no longer valid? What superstitions do you have? Do you have a personal code of honor? What is it? Have you ever compromised your sense of honor? If so, have you taken steps to heal it? Do you have unfinished business with your family members? If so, list the reasons that prevent you from healing your family relationships. And that's a big one, because a lot of times we expect them to be ready for our healing when we really aren't even ready we haven't been ready to heal the things that we need to heal with them. And we can heal with other people without them being present intuitively by asking these questions and going there to those moments and talking to them in those moments. Or even, like, let's say you have anger towards someone and you can't forgive them, write a letter in the angry voice, right? And then you go back there again and you insert forgiveness, but at least you've gotten out that first emotion of I'm angry. You can't forgive someone if you're harboring anger first. Sometimes you just have to get that out. I'm angry at you because you abandoned me, you did this, you did that, you taught me this, you taught me that, you treated me so unworthy, you blah 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 blah. And then you go back again, you intuitively go back to those spaces and you forgive them and you give them a hug, and then you let the shit go and you send them healing vibes every time you think of them. And I'm telling you, I've done that with so many people, and they don't even have to be present. They don't even have to be alive.
Yeah.
That's how powerful the mind is and the spirit. List all the blessings that you feel came from your family, right? Switching on the positive. If you're now raising a family of your own, list the qualities that you would like your children to learn from you. What tribal traditions and rituals do you continue for yourself and your family? And I'll leave it at that, because I feel like some of these questions you'll see when you read the book and you can pinpoint them. But I think more than anything, this goes back to my first question, is what is your story? That's like, in a nutshell, tribal, right? What is your story? So as we leave today, we're going to start with our heart. So you're just going to take your hands, you're going to put them over your heart, and you're going to close your eyes. Just take a deep breath out. Dear God, we honor our hearts today. We honor the courage and the bravery, like the true, real bravery that you know and Spirit knows that it is to step into this space of healing that's uncomfortable, that's extremely vulnerable for many of us. We just thank you for the bravery to step here. We honor ourselves and our hearts for giving us the courage and the bravery to be here today. And then you're going to go up to your throat. Dear God, we thank you for our throat and our voice. We understand that the breath, the breathing is literally the voice of the Spirit. Despite speaking out loud, when we are breathing, that is literally the essence of the Spirit. We honor our voices. We honor giving us the power to speak. We honor going forward the things we have to say, the things that we feel. No longer will we shrink in the things that we have to say. We will say them boldly, confidently, and in the power that we assume through our spirit. Take it up to your third eye. Dear God, we thank you for sight beyond sight. We ask that you may keep increasing our cups so that we may see from overflow and not from pain, dear God. We thank you for the experience to be here today, to heal at a deeper level, to see our inner child and to honor her, and to give her the space to feel, to be, and then to elevate into the possibilities of who she's called to be. We ask you continue to give us sight beyond sight, and you may bless us in seeing things for what they really are and not what we desire them to be, which is sometimes through pain. And keep your eyes closed and put your hands over your head. Dear God, we bless our crown. We ask you may protect us and always keep us connected to you. As much as we may strive away in this human life, forgetting the power and the connectedness that we have to you, we ask you may bless our crowns. Keep us connected to you. Keep us searching for you. Even in the moments where we feel uncomfortable, unseen, dear God, may we know we are immensely loved by you. Keep your eyes closed, and then you're going to take it back down to your heart, but I want you to flip it upside down so it's like over your solar plexus. Dear God, we honor our power to feel empowered. We honor our power source, our light source, to be empowered in who we are, our gut instincts, our sun within us. Going forward, we ask that you empower us into who we are meant to become, the seed that you have planted within only us, and we thank you. Take it down to your sacral. Dear God, we thank you for the creativity, the sexuality, the femininity. We honor it on every level. We ask that you may continue to elevate us, to allow us to see our creative power and to trust ourselves in all that we do. And then take it down to your root. Dear God, we thank you for grounding us in this very experience, in the experience of being human and being here and now. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We thank you for who we've been. We thank you for where we've been. We thank you for the people, places, and things that have brought us to who we are. We thank you for the pain. We thank you for the joy. We thank you for the love. We thank you for the experiences that make us human. And we thank you equally for the experiences that make us a grand spirit. You're going to bring it back up to your heart. Open your eyes. Ashe, and so it is. I honor you all. I love you deeply, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. I love you deeply. Have an amazing sleep. If you need me, you have my you guys have my cell phone number. Those watching on the playback, if you need me, you can email me, inbox me, DM me, whatever, throughout the day, even before our meeting if you need to share good news, revelations, things you've seen, whatever. But tomorrow, just come prepared for the sacral chakra. I love you all. Have an amazing night. Kisses and love.
Peace.
Peace.